40,000 people. That is not just a number. That is a stadium. That is a city. That is the number of souls who handed their life savings to a man who could barely add. In 1920, 40,000 people in Boston watched their futures evaporate into the humid summer air because they believed in a miracle. They believed in a man who promised 50% profit in 45 days, 100% in 90. It was a math problem that defied gravity. It was a siren song for the desperate, the immigrants, the laborers who had spent their lives breaking their backs for nickels. They saw a small man with a big cigar and a diamond stick pin, and they saw their own salvation. Charles Ponzi didn't just steal money. He stole the very idea of hope. He took $15 million, $200 million in today's currency, and turned it into ash. He broke 6 banks. He ruined the North End. He created a legacy that still haunts every digital wallet and every stock ticker in the modern world. We think we are smarter now. We think we are protected by regulations and algorithms. We are wrong. The ghost of Charles Ponzi is in the room with us every time we look for a shortcut. He is the patron saint of the get-rich-quick scheme, the man who proved that if you tell a big enough lie with enough confidence, the world will beg you to take its coat. We live in a world of mirrors. We believe that wealth is a ladder, a steady climb of effort and reward. But the paradox of the Ponzi scheme is that it looks exactly like success until the very second it becomes a catastrophe. Capital is supposed to be productive. It builds factories, it sows fields, it creates value. Ponzi's capital did nothing. It sat in a vault, or it paid for a mansion in Lexington, or it was handed back to the person standing at the front of the line to prove the lie was true. The paradox is that the more people join the lie, the more real the lie becomes. For 8 months in 1920, Charles Ponzi was the most successful man in America. He was a hero to the Italian-American community. He was a financial wizard who had unlocked the secrets of the universe. The paradox is that the truth was hidden in plain sight. Anyone with a pencil and a piece of paper could have done the math. Anyone could have seen that there weren't enough postal coupons in the entire world to support his claims. But nobody wanted to see. We choose the comfortable lie over the cold truth every single time. We want to believe that there is a secret door to the penthouse that doesn't require taking the stairs. We want to believe that the rules of physics don't apply to our bank accounts. This is the fundamental fracture in the human psyche that Ponzi exploited, our desire to be the one who got away with it. The rot started in Lugo, Italy. Carlo Ponzi was born into the ghost of a fortune. His family had names that sounded like royalty, Tebaldo, Guglielmo, but their pockets were empty. His father was a postman. For a boy who saw his ancestors as merchants and lords, the mail bag was a symbol of failure. He hated manual labor. He loathed the sweat of the honest man. When he inherited a small sum for university, he didn't buy books. He bought the theater. He bought the casino. He bought the illusion of being a prince. When the money vanished, he didn't look for work. He looked for a horizon. He arrived in Boston in 1903 with $2.50 in his pocket and $1 million of ambition in his head. He spent years drifting. He was a dishwasher in New York, a waiter who cheated customers, a clerk who couldn't stay honest. He went to Montreal and worked for Banco Zarossi, a bank for immigrants that was already doing the robbing Peter to pay Paul Dance. He saw Luigi Zarossi flee to Mexico with a suitcase of cash, and he didn't see a criminal. He saw a mentor. He saw a blueprint. Even after 2 stints in prison, one for forgery in Canada, one for smuggling immigrants in Atlanta, Ponzi didn't feel shame. He felt delayed. He felt like the world owed him a throne, and he was tired of waiting for the invitation. The mechanism was a small, unassuming piece of paper called an International Reply Coupon, an IRC. It was a simple tool for global mail. You buy a coupon in Spain for a few pesetas, send it to a friend in Boston, and they trade it for a U.S. postage stamp. It was a way to prepay a reply across borders. But after World War I, currencies were screaming. The Italian lira was in the gutter. The U.S. dollar was king. Ponzi realized that if he bought IRCs in Italy with devalued lira and exchanged them for U.S. stamps, the arbitrage profit was enormous. On paper, it was a gold mine. In reality, it was a physical impossibility. To make the millions he promised, he would have needed to move mountains of paper. He would have needed ships filled with coupons that didn't exist. There were only 27,000 IRCs in circulation worldwide. Ponzi needed 160 million, but the mechanism of the fraud wasn't the coupon, it was the story. He founded the Securities Exchange Company. He sat behind a desk and talked about the complexity of international trade. He used the jargon of the elite to confuse the humble. The money coming in from the new investors was the fuel. The payouts to the old investors were the exhaust. As long as the engine kept spinning faster and faster, no one noticed there was no road beneath the wheels. It was a perpetual motion machine fueled by greed and the frantic need to belong to the winning side. The machine eventually hit a wall of cold, hard facts. Clarence Barron, the man behind Dow Jones, started asking questions. He pointed out that if Ponzi were actually doing what he claimed, he would be the largest consumer of stamps in history. The logic was a sledgehammer. Then came the internal rot. His own publicist, William McMasters, realized the genius couldn't add 2 and 2. He called Ponzi a financial idiot. The crowds that once cheered him turned into a mob. They stood outside his office on Devonshire Street, not with checks, but with fists. The banks collapsed. The life savings of thousands of families were inhaled by the void. Ponzi went back to prison, then tried to sell swampland in Florida, then fled to Italy, then to Brazil. He died in a charity hospital in Rio de Janeiro, blind in one eye and paralyzed, buried in a pauper's grave. He died exactly as he lived, pretending to be something he wasn't. But the tragedy isn't Ponzi's death. It is the immortality of his method. We see it in the $65 billion hole left by Bernie Madoff. We see it in the flashing lights of cryptocurrency, exchanges that vanish overnight. We see it in the eyes of every person who thinks they found a loophole in the universe. The fragility of our system is that it is built on trust, and trust is the easiest thing in the world to counterfeit. We want to believe that our institutions are solid, but they are only as strong as our collective refusal to believe in magic. Charles Ponzi proved that the world is full of people who want to be lied to. He proved that the American dream has a dark twin, the American scheme. We are all part of the mechanism. We are the ones who provide the fuel. We are the ones who look away when the math doesn't make sense. The darkness of the conclusion is not that Ponzi was a monster, but that he was one of us. He was the purest expression of the desire to have everything for nothing. As long as that desire exists, there will be another Ponzi waiting in the shadows, holding a diamond stick pin and a promise. The stadium is still full. The 40,000 are still waiting. And the man at the front of the room is still smiling, because he knows that the one thing we never learn from history is that there is no such thing as a free lunch. The bill always comes due. It comes in the form of failed banks, broken homes, and the cold realization that the miracle was just a magician's trick. We are the audience and we are the marks, and the show never ends. It just changes its name. It just moves to a new city. It just finds a new piece of paper to turn into a lie. The ghost of Charles Ponzi is laughing, and he is waiting for you to open your wallet. He is waiting for you to believe, and you will. Because the lie is so much more beautiful than the truth. The lie says you are special. The lie says you are rich. The lie says you finally won, until the lights go out, until the doors are locked, until you realize that the man you gave your life to was never there at all. He was just a reflection of your own hunger, staring back at you from the glass. And now, the glass is broken, and the hunger is all that's left. This is the history of money. This is the history of us. This is the legacy of the man who scammed the world and left us with nothing but his name. A name that has become a warning we refuse to heed. A name that echoes in every market crash and every shattered dream. Charles Ponzi, the man who taught us that the fastest way to get rich is to make sure everyone else stays poor. And we are still paying for the lesson. We are still standing in line. We are still waiting for our 50%, and he is still taking it, every single time, every single day, in every corner of the globe. The scheme is eternal. The man is dead, but the idea is immortal. And that is the darkest truth of all. Reality is a ledger that must always balance, and when it doesn't, someone has to pay the difference in blood and tears. Ponzi knew that. He just didn't care. And neither do we until the music stops. And the music is about to stop. It always does. It's just a matter of time. And time is the one thing you can't buy with a postal coupon. Time is the one thing that never lies. Time is the final auditor. And the audit is coming. It's already here. Can you hear the footsteps? Can you see the shadow? It's him. It's always him. And he's asking for your investment. What will you say? Will you walk away or will you take the shortcut? We already know the answer. We've known it since 1920. We've known it forever. The scam is us. The scheme is human nature. And there is no regulation that can save us from ourselves. There is no law that can stop the heart from wanting what it hasn't earned. That is the final, brutal truth of the Ponzi legacy. We are the architects of our own ruin. And Charles Ponzi was just the man who handed us the blueprints. He was just the man who showed us how to build a palace out of thin air. And we built it. We build it every day. And every day it falls. And every day we start again. Because the dream is too good to let go, even if it's a nightmare, even if it's a lie, even if it's just a name on a pauper's grave. Charles Ponzi, the legend, the idiot, the mirror, the end.